Welcome to part 4 of Simplicity's S9480 SewAlong. I encourage you to watch the tutorials listed on the following slides prior to starting this SewAlong to either refresh your memory or to learn the sewing skill mentioned in order to complete this SewAlong, or watch it when it comes up in the tutorial itself. It's your choice. I do my sew-alongs this way to ensure a win-win scenario. You get a full sew-along with step-by-step sewing instructions, and I avoid the tedious task of editing a sewing technique like installing an invisible zipper over and over and over again. The steps doesn't change no matter the garment, so recording and editing it only one time is really all it takes. Here's what we'll be covering in today's video: joining the bodice to the bottom, making fabric straps, feeding elastic and drawstring through the casing, hemming, and we will also be covering installing buttons. If you need help with any of those skills or just need a refresher, click the link at the top of the screen. Lastly, if you're new to sewing or just need a refresher, check out the free Sewing Basics video series by clicking the link at the top of your screen. If you already know how to do my sew-alongs and videos, and if you'll be kind enough to watch at least one ad should it appear, which enables me to keep bringing you free content, feel free to skip ahead to go straight to the pattern spotlight. Skip ahead to the 4-minute 45-second mark. Here's a little bit about how I do my Sew With Me sew-alongs.
Techniques, I'm going to put it on the website and I will reference it in the sew-along itself. So for example, we're working on a pair of pants that has a fly front. So when we get to that portion in the sew-along, I'll do a little bit of it, in instructions in the sew-along itself, but then I'm going to refer you over to the website to go ahead and look at that particular video, look it over, study it, do your own sample if you want, because I'm big on that technique binder. So go ahead and and do that, and then once you get a good hang of what that technique is, then come back onto the sew-along itself and do that particular technique with the sew-along. So that way we both kind of benefit. You still get the instruction of the actual sew-along, step by step of how to do a particular thing. But it's less editing on my part because, like I said, I'll mention it in the sew-along itself, but then I'll refer you over to the website to actually find that particular technique and go ahead, review it, look at it. And then once you master it or enough to where even you sew along, at the same time and install it in that particular sew-along that you're doing at that time. So hopefully that will be okay for you, because I think I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone for watching my videos. I love to upload the videos. I love to share my knowledge. And I'm pretty sure that you guys love to get free content. So in order for me to keep uploading free content, I just need you to do some simple things for me, some very simple things. The first thing is just to hit the subscribe button. So just make sure that you hit that. So you're subscribed to my channel. Hit the notification bell so when I upload a new video, you don't miss out and you get to see it. And then also, if there's an ad on my videos, they're typically anywhere from 10 seconds to maybe up to 2 minutes. Just go ahead and either watch it or do something else you want to do in that particular time that ad is running. So use the restroom, go get something to drink or something like that. Because that way, if you let that ad run, I benefit from YouTube, and that way I can still keep creating content and uploading it for free. Okay. Enough of that boring stuff. Back to the sew-along. Please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. Thanks again, and keep on watching. If you're following along with instructions, we are basically at 25. We're going to skip 25 and come back to that. So we're going to do 26, which is basically joining the bottom of the pants to the bodice. All right, so you're going to need your pants, obviously, and you're going to need your bodice. You want to have your pants right side out. And I would say have the back facing you. All right, like so. So, okay, so you're having your pants, the back facing up, and that's right side out is your pants. You're gonna have your bodice wrong side up, facing up, and it's going to be wrong side facing out, okay? So you should be looking at the wrong side of your bodice, the back of it, and the right side of your pants, the back of that. So what you're going to do is slip your pants inside your bodice, okay? Literally just stick it on in there. And so when you do that, it is now right sides together, the right side of your bodice to the right side of your pants, okay? Now you should have some notches to match up, and let's see, do you have notches along the front? You should have notches along the back, and you do. There's a notch matching up that notch. So you're basically going to match up your notches and match up your side seams, okay? So go ahead and you're going to pin all the way around, and then you're going to stitch this at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, all the way around, and then you're going to come back and stitch a 1/4 inch away from that stitch line that you just did inside of the seam allowance. So let's just pretend this is not going to be it, but let's just pretend you just did this stitch line, okay, this stitch line, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then you're going to go inside the seam allowance, so go inside toward the raw edge, a 1/4 of an inch, and stitch again. And all that is another type of reinforcement type of stitch for high stress areas, okay? So go ahead and finish pinning all the way around and do those 2 rows of stitching and come back. All right, so back from the sewing machine, attaching the bodice to the pants. And as you can see, stitched it at 5/8. Then from that stitch line, go in a 1/4 of an inch toward the raw edge, okay? A 1/4 of an inch, and stitched again. That's to reinforce because it's a high stress area. And then I finished my raw edges with my serger. Now, you want to take a peek at what your garment is looking like. This is the back. Now remember, we don't have any elastic in it as of yet. That's the back. That's the casing. And of course, that's the pants. The front is the surplus type of top here. Casing. And the bottom. All right, so we're looking pretty good. So let's see where we are in the directions. Week 27. All right, we're starting with on number 27, and that's starting the inserting of the cords and the elastic. I think 27 is actually the waistline cord. Okay, so and I want to say it's they say take your casing measurement, so the whole circumference around, and then add 40 inches, okay? So that's how much you're gonna need for your cording, but I decided to do a fabric drawstring, so I just cut mine out of fabric, okay? But I wanted to show you how I turn mine because these are really small, you know, and most definitely if you have a turn looper, I think that's what it's called. One of them looks like this It has the little thing at the end. I think it's like a crochet hook at the end. Other ones come, I think it's like plastic along with wood. It's like a set, and you can use, I think it's 3 in 1 set that you can use as well. I've hit and miss with that, with those. Even with this one, it's a hit and miss because you can snag, because the way this opens and closes, you can snag the fabric on the way to turning it inside out. So what I found is to actually use these things along with this, along with your looper. Okay, so this one is just from McDonald's. This is the black one is from McDonald's. This is what you, when you have coffee, you know, things like that. Any size, as long as the looper or the turn looper actually goes through it. Okay, that's all you need with the size. This is the one that I use most of all, and I got this from hand soap dispenser. You know, I just took it out when I was done, and this is what I use most of the time. Okay, so I'm going to show you with this, as long as, you know, whatever tube you're using can go inside the fabric, that's all that matters. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do it. So this is the leg, I want to say, because it's a shorter one. So this is the hardest part, is starting it and getting your little tube inside. Once you get it inside, you're golden. All right, so now it's inside, right? Okay, now, ooh, but this one is a tight one. Okay, here we go. So now that it's inside, you see I have a little bit, can you see it? A little bit sticking out. All right, so initially you want this to be open. You can see it's not closed. This is open. I don't know if it's the best way to show you, but this is open. This is closed, so you can see that's closed. You can see a circle, right? This is open. You want it open going through, but sometimes it closes, and that's why it's snagged. So take it through. Now, the trick is to never let, maybe I should show you. I'm gonna show you on this one. Never let the hook really come in contact with the fabric. So I'm sticking in this one. So as you maneuver the fabric, keep your finger up here to feel for the hook. Okay, once the hook, you feel the hook coming, you want to slide the tube above the hook. Okay, so keep, you know, pulling down your fabric. As you pull down your fabric, feel for the hook, and there's the hook right here. If you can see, it's right there, but don't let it come all the way through. Feel it, and when you feel it, slide the tube above it. Okay, because you really don't want that hook to come in contact with the fabric. So I'm doing it in this one here. So I'm putting my finger up here, feeling for the hook. When I feel it, I'm pulling the hook back a little bit. There it is. Pull it back. All right, so now we're all the way at the end here. Okay, you see the tube, see the hook. And as you see, it actually closed. It actually closed. All right, so now you want to bring your fabric just over the tube, just over. You don't want the tube to go way back, maybe a half an inch. A half an inch is good. And so my thumb is at, oops, my thumb is at the tube. All right, I'm going to make a snip in the fabric. Now I gotta open this. It's supposed to stay open, but it didn't. And then I'm gonna take the little hook there, that little hook, and I'm gonna put it in the snip that I did. And close it. So now it's closed. Okay, now I'm going to rotate it. Just turn it 180 degrees. And you're just gonna pull it back through, and it just, because it's going through a tube, it's not snagging anything. And so just pull on the tube. Where we at? Just where my hand is, this is the tube. So I'm just pulling on the tube itself. I'm not doing anything else but just pulling on the tube. Oh. Oh. Okay. And then sometimes that happens. It snaps. You gotta manually finish doing it. So to manually do it, since this part snapped off, well, it's good that I showed you both ways. You're just going to think of your tube now as a safety pin, like you threading elastic through a casing. So you're just going to push it through, push the tube through, and pull back. Push it through, tube through, push the back, tube through, push the excess back, tube through, push it back, tube through, push it back. Ugh, almost out. This is the hard way, but I guess it's good that that this happened, so I can show you what to do. Now you see that the end came through, right? And you just pull. Pull, pull, pull. And then take the tube out. That was the hard way to show you, but I guess that's good that it happened. So you see what happens if that little snip that you made with the scissors, you know, at the top, and as you pull in, that ripped. Yeah, it happens sometimes with finer fabric, because that's kind of what I'm using here, finer fabric. So anywho, that is a turned loop. Okay, so now we on to the home stretch, basically. So we're just going to be putting in the items for the casing in the front pattern, around the waist, I should say, around the waist, and then the top of the back pattern, and then finishing off the hem, and then putting the casing through there. So the last little finished touches. So for this one, the first thing you're going to need to do is we're going to fill in this middle one that goes through the buttonholes. So you're going to either need your cording, if you use cording, or, you know, like me, I did the fabric drawstring. So, you know, you can take a safety pin and put it at the end of your fabric here and shift it through just like you would elastic. But I use this little gadget here to sift mine through. So you basically pull this little circle thing that's right here all the way to the back, to the other circle, and that opens it up, and you place, you know, just like a tweezer, you know, you place it on the end, and then you push the circle back down to tighten. As much as it can tighten, and, you know, give it a tug, make sure it's not going anywhere. Here, just put it in the drawstring, or the
the buttonhole, I should say, and you just kind of start shifting it through. All right, so that's how you do that one. And then with the elastic, you're gonna have to go on the inside of your garment here, and it's on one of the side seams. So it's this one. So you basically do the same. I don't have elastic on it, I'm just showing you. So it's the top one, and it's going to be the bottom one. Okay, and what I suggest is that you feed both the elastics through at the same time. So if you have two of these, perfect. If not, you know, use safety pins or one of you, you know, whatever you have or whatever you're using to sift through. But just sift your elastic through at the same time. And your elastic for this one is number 10, okay? And this is the waist elastic. So you should have two, and you want to shift both of these through at the same time, because what that does is prevent that tug of war type thing. Because after you do one, then it's already scrunched up. Then it's hard to get the other one through. So just do them both at the same time. And then you know, to secure the other one, the other side, as you're feeding it through, to make sure that the other side doesn't go into the casing, because then you got to start all the way back over, right? You want to secure it. So say, you know, you see, I don't know, you know, 5 or 6 inches left, you know, before it'll go in the casing, the other side go in the casing, you know, just pin it to your garment. Take a pin and just pin it to your garment, and so that way it won't go inside of, you know, the casing. The other end won't go inside the casing. Okay, and so once you get both ends through, what you're gonna do is overlap it, I say by a 1/2 inch, and you're going to zigzag both sides. So that one in, that one in, to secure it. Okay, so just zigzag it. Then once everything is inside, you are going to slip stitch the openings on all 3 closed. Okay, you don't want to, when you slip stitch it, you're not going through both sides. Okay, slip stitching is just on the top layer, because you still want your casing or your elastic to be able to move through the casing. Right, so then you're going to move to the back, and what I want you to do here is just input your back casing. Well, what I should say, when you do your middle casing, when you do your middle drawstring and elastic, also do the back before you try it on, because you may want to make adjustments to the back as well. All right, so sift through your elastic to the back. But here I won't, you can baste it down on the sides, just in case you need to come back and you know, adjust this. So baste it on the sides, then try it on, and then see if everything fits. If you need to make any adjustments, make your adjustments. Okay, and then once you like the way the back fits with the elastic, then I want you to do a scant 5/8 permanent stitch to tack down your elastic on both sides. Okay, on both sides. Do all that and come back from adding the drawstring and the 2 pieces of elastic along the casing, along the waistline area, and then also in the back here, adding the elastic and tacking it down at the sides here. So just to tell you, with mine, I think I had to take off 1.5 inches on the back. I want to say 1.5 inches. Along the front, I actually probably needed to add 1.5 inches for each one of the elastics, because I forgot that I added to the side seams because I increased my size up by one size, I want to say it was. But I want to say it was the 22 size for the elastic guide, but I did not, because I forgot to add to that. So this probably could have been a little bit looser, but it's working out okay. So just keep that in mind, just in case you adjusted, you know, your pattern any, like I went up a size. So just in case you adjusted it, you need to adjust your elastic guide accordingly, so up or down, depending on which way you went. All right, so moving on. Now I serged the bottom of my hem of the pants. Okay, so finish it how you want to finish it. And I want to say the hem allowance is 1 1/4 inches, and of course that means go up, you know, 1.5 inches, and then you're going to tuck in that last quarter, which is where I serged at. Okay, so for me, since I'm not going to tuck in this, I'm just going to leave that like so. And so when I fold it to the inside, it's just going to look like that, and I'm fine with that. I don't need to tuck in this, but you do your method however you want to do it. And so I'm going to show you how I do my you know, find up my 1.5 inches, and I'll probably just do an 1.25 inches, but I'll probably just do 1 inch. I use my clear ruler and pins, and this is how I do mine. So you can kind of see. So this is my inch. It's kind of hard to see because of all my busyness on my fabric here. You see, that's about 1 inch. Okay, so wherever my inch is, I just take a pin and just stick it in. I don't place it or anything. I just basically see how it's standing up there. I just stick it in for right now. So just stick it in, and you do that process all the way around. You just stick it in. And so now I'm going to show you, in essence, what makes this trick so nice and quick and easy is you basically lift it up. And so your pins are in there, right? Probably kind of hard to see, but my pins are in there. And from this point, all you do is fold it along the pin. You see how I'm folding it to that pin, right? Like so. And once you get it where you're folding it right at that pin, that's your 1 inch. So you just take it out and repin it like you normally would. So again, making sure that it is like so. Once you have it like that, remove the pin and stick it in like you would normally if you are pinning. So this is a quick, easy way to pin your hems. Okay, this one, so you can see. That's probably a better view.
You can see how it's just even with that, you know, going into the pen, going into the fabric, I should say. So you just make sure that that's even. Take it out. And that's how quick and easy that was to pin your hem. And then all you do now is iron it. And then you have it. You have your little crease. And then you take it to your sewing machine and sew it however, you know, how are you gonna do it. Okay, so back from the sewing machine, and we sewed the hem, okay, of the pants, and we inserted our drawstring. So yours should look something like that. Okay, so now last couple things we have to do is close out, finish closing out our, basically like our armhole that connects to the back. So the first thing you want to do is, you see that this is, okay, which way? So this is the side seam to orientate you. This is the side seam that has the elastic out. All right, and this is the other half of the side seam that connects to the arm, okay? So what you want to do is put your side seams back together. Line them up back together. Okay, so now it looks like this. Kind of open up your armhole where we had that crease. Okay, so now what you want to do is basically fold over that crease, all right, to the back side. So it would basically be right side to right side. All right, okay, still lining up that arm, lining up that side seam, because what we're going to do is finish the side seam. So sewing from where we stopped, about right here, all the way up to the top of the elastic. Okay, oh, sorry about my dog. So again, this is where it looks like right now. Okay, it's open. What you want to do is fold it back onto itself. Okay, so you're folding it onto the back pattern. You're folding the front pattern along the armhole onto the back pattern where the elastic is. Kind of keeping it lined up with where you got to do your side seam. Right here, if you can see your side seam right there. So basically you're going to, and this is where I finished sewing, if you can see it right there. So I'm going to sew from that point all the way up to the top of where the casing is the elastic. All right, so sew from that point where your stitching stops on your side seam all the way up to the top. And then once you finish that, you're going to trim off this the elastic here, the excess elastic. And then once you finish that, you're just going to turn everything to the right side. Okay, basically folding back over, and then finish your armhole that you started here doing that stitch. All right, so do all of that. Once you do that, try on your garment, see where you need your placing of your, where is it at, of your buttonholes, and place that. It seems like my straps were a little bit too long, so I'm gonna have to overlap it. In the instructions, it doesn't tell you to overlap, but because I'm gonna need to overlap it. I may put snaps on the other side just for security, but this is kind of where my placement needs to be for my buttons. And then once you do that, you know, attach your buttons, and then you'll be all done.
If you made this pattern or intend to, or if you're going to follow along with me, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content. Thanks again for watching, and happy sewing.